What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's time to review the new Lenovo Legion Go 2 PC handheld. This is the true successor to the original Legion Go Z1 Extreme from 2023. At the time of finishing up this review, I've had the Go 2 Z2 Extreme for about a month. So let's go ahead and jump into the review and see what we're working with. All right, let's start off with a quick unboxing, and we don't need to spend long here. I did cover a full unboxing and first impressions in another video, which I'll put a link to in the description if you want to be able to check that out. But if we get into the contents here, we have our 65-watt charger, which is pretty typical for these. We have the actual Go 2 here, which we'll come back to. On the bottom, there's a bit of paperwork and, of course, that cardboard stand that you can put together if you want to do that. Now we have the actual Legion Go 2 Z2 Extreme version here, and something I'm happy about is that we still get a case, which we did with the original Go. What I don't like is for the amount that we pay for this device here, the case is a major downgrade from what we got before with this new soft case style that they went with. It's just not near as nice to deal with or use as the original case. It does still fit the accessories and stuff here minus the charger, much like the original case, but the original was much better. So anyways, then we have our actual Legion Go 2, which is a nice feeling, much improved device over the original, really in almost every way. So let's go ahead and get more into the review. All right, so let's list out most of the specs that we're dealing with here. This is, of course, the new Legion Go 2 Z2 Extreme model, which has the all-new AMD Z2 Extreme processor with the integrated 890M graphics. We have 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5X, 8,000 megatransfers per second RAM, and 1 terabyte 2280 PCI Express 4.0 SSD, as an 8.8-inch 16:10 ratio 1200p 144 Hz VRR display with full HDR, and this one is OLED. On top of that, the device also includes two USB 4 Type-C ports, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.3, and a built-in fingerprint sensor. And it's all powered by a 74 watt-hour battery, which is definitely a bump up from the original Go. We'll take a closer look at what we have here, but that's basically what we're dealing with for the specs. So the Go 2 definitely has a more premium look and feel to it over the original. The materials have a very premium feel that's kind of hard to describe. I just call it this soft matte kind of feel and finish to it, and it's really nice to hold, and that's both for the device itself and the removable controllers. It's still rather large in size and weight, but it does feel very premium and expensive, which does make sense here with this version of the Go. And speaking of kind of that size and weight of the Go 2, we can compare it to the original Go. The Go 2 does weigh a little bit more than the original Go did, and you can see pretty quickly the new Go 2 is thicker and does feel bulkier than the original Go. That said, though, the Go 2 is more comfortable and much improved over the original Go as far as the ergonomics and comfort. Still not as comfortable as something like, say, an Xbox Ally X or Steam Deck, but it's much better than the original. It still retains the built-in kickstand, which is still great and high quality, as well as the removable controllers and the mouse mode features from the original Go. I still don't like the extra side buttons on that right controller. I do still accidentally hit those sometimes, and it can be frustrating, but they did a better job designing them this time where it is actually harder to push, and I am getting better at that. So if that was a problem for you before, it is improved here, but still there. The build quality, including all the buttons and triggers this time around, are also great. Much better than what I called kind of the louder or clunkier buttons of the Xbox Ally X in that recent review. A major improvement this time around from the original Go also are the speakers. What a night and day difference for those when compared to how bad the original speakers were on that original Go. So I'm glad Lenovo listened with all of these design changes, including those speaker upgrades.
My shield's plenty capable to deflect their attacks. Requesting Nova Force support.
Now I saved the screen for its own spot here, and it does deserve it. This is an 8.8-inch HDR OLED display, and it is fantastic. It's one of the best displays that I've personally used on a handheld. It's a bright, beautiful 144 Hz display with VRR ranging from 30 FPS to 144 FPS. Lenovo also opted to bring this down to a 1200p display versus the 1600p display that we had in the original, but maintaining the 16:10 aspect ratio. In my opinion, that was a great move for the power that we have on these devices. On this 1200p display, 800p, 1000p, 1200p can all look great depending on what games you're playing. It's obvious that besides build quality, the OLED display on this device is part to blame for the higher price tag that we'll talk about later that Lenovo has going here for more of an enthusiast build, what they wanted to get out of this device. And all this enthusiast type building on the Go 2 over the original comes with its good and bad trade-offs depending on who you are with this one. At the end of the day, this is a top-of-the-line OLED handheld display that adds the premium build to the Go 2 that Lenovo was going for. Something I want to touch on quickly is the software Legion space. Much like ASUS's Armoury Crate SE and Command Center, we have the main space software, the quick access menu, and it kind of helps us get through more of the settings and button mapping and that type of thing. This has become a really good and useful piece of software over time since the launch of the original Go. The quick access menu isn't as buggy as it used to be, and it gives easy access to a lot of your commonly used settings. All in all, Space has become a good piece of software from Lenovo to help with Windows on the PC handheld. There's always more work to do here, more features, more bug fixes and things like that, but it's much better than it was just a couple of years ago. Battery life is definitely a big part of the story when it comes to this generation, the Z2 Extreme. It's a much more efficient chip over the Z1 Extreme and offers more battery life while also giving more gaming performance at that lower TDP range. Legion Go 2 itself has the 74 watt-hour battery and 3 preset modes for its performance. The lowest TDP quiet mode runs at about 8 watts TDP and a total power draw of around 14 to 15 watts, which gives you about 5 hours of battery life. The balance mode runs at 15 watts TDP and a total power draw of 26 to 27 watts, offering about 2.5 to 3 hours of battery life. The third preset's the performance mode, which runs at 20 watts TDP and a total power draw of 30 to 32 watts with about 2.5 hours of battery life. You can put on custom mode and go anywhere from 20 to 35 in handheld mode. So if you push to the max 35 watts TDP in handheld mode, it has a total power draw of about 51 watts, offering about an hour and a half, give or take, of battery life. So something the Z2 Extreme has been very good at over the Z1 Extreme is offering more battery life to being more efficient and letting you run lower TDP to get decent good performance out of these games versus the last gen chip. Okay, so now for what arguably would be the most important part of the review, potentially, is your game performance. A big standout for the Z2 Extreme is its efficiency, of course, which we talked about, and that the 17 watt range performance has been impressive compared to what we got on the Z1 Extreme before. For games I may have used 20 to 25 watts on the Legion Go, I can get away with more of that 15 to 20 watts on the Legion Go 2 and get similar performance while getting a bit more battery life, plus we have that bigger battery as well. It's a nice little leap up for this generation. So while the actual FPS leap tends to fall around that 10 to 20% over last gen Z1 Extreme, we still do get an FPS boost while also gaining more efficiency this time around. It makes me excited to see what they'll do with Gen 3. If this chip is doing so well on the efficiency side, maybe they'll be able to combine some more performance with that efficiency for something really cool in a couple of years. There's a lot more to talk about when it comes to game performance as game testing to do in general, and in future videos we're definitely going to dive into more performance. I tend to test a lot of new games that are coming out. I'm holding on to this device for the next 1 to 2 years to cover it, so there's going to be a lot more coming up. But for the review, I have some real-world game performance that you can take a look at besides whatever you've already seen up on the screen here while we're talking through the game performance. So take a look at this stuff, see a few more games here running on the device, and then we'll jump in and wrap up the review.
That's part of the wreckage. Jonah! You all right?
I'm okay. I'm okay. What do you think built all this?
It could have been the Inca. They knew a lot about hydraulics.
I'm onto your man.
Right. Press. Medium left. Press. Hard right. Jump into bumps.
Peñón de Gibraltar. Y'all set, Murph?
Stagger 1-3.
This is Hemlock. I'm your 3-letter specialized skills officer. Be advised, Carter and Espina are heading down towards Old Town. Once you join them, all ask for the PAX TOC. Intelligence reports a PAX commander at the target.
Roger that.
And you'll be part of the beach landing. The Matrix under attack! Disembark now!
Marines, get in! We need to get clear of the ship now! I got the turret! Casualties! Local hostile, 3 o'clock. I'm going out there! Dropping ramp! Moving to the wounded! Reloading!
Not advanced with anti-tank in the AO. Switching to holding position.
Toes down! Charlie 5, toes are down. You're clear to move in.
Good copy, Dagger 1-3. Advancing.
Target him! Sniper new! Contact 12 o'clock! Pax reinforcements! Sending frag!
All right, so it's time to talk about that pricing a bit. At 1,349 USD for me here, and with tax, I paid $1,440 for the Legion Go 2 Z2 Extreme to review here. Now that is 2 times the cost of the original Go 2 years ago at launch for 699 USD, and then of course there was tax, but yeah, pretty much exactly 2 times the cost. Back then I really praised Lenovo for bringing such a well-built PC handheld to the mainstream space for a good price. And while there are many reasons just 2 years later that tech is much more expensive, this just isn't the direction that I want to see from any of the mainstream companies, say like Lenovo, ASUS, and others who I want to bring these devices into more the mainstream market for less money than we were seeing a bunch of these enthusiast devices selling for over the past few years. But this is where we are. Lenovo themselves stated that this device is made for the enthusiast and build it with them in mind. Hence the OLED VRR HDR display, among other changes that have increased the price. Now, for about $300 less, you could get the Z2 version of this device and keep that OLED screen and everything else premium about the device. But keep in mind, the Z2 is a renamed Z1 Extreme. The newer architecture of the Z2 Extreme is not part of that chip. The only new architecture in AMD's stack is the Z2 Extreme and AI Z2 Extreme. Everything under those has pretty much been renamed older chips. So that's something to keep in mind. If the screen isn't a big selling point for you and you don't really care, and you have more of a 1K price range, you might want to look at the Xbox Ally X or the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus. But I believe for many that are buying this device or looking into it, it's for that 8.8-inch display and it being OLED and VRR, and it really is an amazing screen. And like I said, it is pretty much the best I've personally used on any handheld or covered here so far. They really did a great job with designing the screen. I don't get flicker issues. VRR works really well. I haven't had issues with the mirror effect or dirty panel or anything like that, and it's just been a great experience. It even does HDR really well. So I think for a lot of people, that would be the reason for looking at this and kind of trying to justify the price. So wrapping up the review of the Lenovo Legion Go 2, I can say it's a premium, well-built PC handheld improved upon the original in every way. The Ryzen Z2 Extreme really does feel much better to use and game on in person versus just on paper or what I thought it would. What I said about the OG Go does remain true with the Go 2 though, and that is the size and weight and the way it's built. It is a more multi-function device than really just a gaming handheld. Depending on who you are, maybe that helps justify the cost this time around, along with that 8.8-inch OLED display, which no doubt is a big factor in the higher price of the Go 2. but it's something Lenovo committed to, and I will say they nailed the display in my opinion. It's beautiful in person and has HDR you can actually use. There are a lot of great PC handhelds out there now, and most ranging $500 to $1,000, so I think many people out there could, on a budget, just find something else that would work really well for them or something used. But for those of you who have been waiting on this device from Lenovo, the OLED screen, the actual good VRR, the newest Z2 Extreme chip, and all of that here, you are probably more comfortable paying that $1,000 to $1,500 range for your PC handheld, and this device is absolutely going to serve you well. Alright, so that's pretty much going to wrap up the review for the Lenovo Legion Go 2. Let me know in the comments for myself and everybody what PC handheld you have or what one you're looking into and why, because everybody has their preferences. So I don't just like to say, hey, buy such and such handheld, because there's really such variety now between price, features, screens, and all of that. So it's always nice to hear and kind of help people out in making their decisions. But anyways, as always, thanks a lot for coming to watch, and I'll see you guys in the next one.